been waiting a long time to say this. It's morphin' time. So this in America is where the phenomenon all started. Day of the Dumpster. Episode 1, Season 1, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Now coming into this episode, to be honest, I couldn't remember. Yes, I remember parts of it, but it seems like I remember this episode being worse than it actually was. I enjoyed it. It was actually more entertaining than I remember this first episode. So I'm just going to jump right into the synopsis here. So obviously the episode starts out with our heroes at the juice bar. A typical 90s thing for a teen show is to have like a juice bar, a diner, or something. Saved by the Bell like. I got a Saved by the Bell feel from this opening scene, except with martial arts. I may be jumping the gun here, because in my notes it says, some random astronauts are on some rock in space. Obviously, it doesn't look like the moon. It looks just like a random planet, moon, rock, asteroid, something. And what would any good astronaut do when they find or discover something? They just walk right over to it and open it up. This little dumpster canister looking thing. They don't contain it. They don't like put it in something so they could take it back to maybe their planet and study it. No, they just open it right up. And thus beginning the plague on Angel Grove for years and years and years to come, as Rita and her minions are freed from their imprisonment. And what does Rita do? I don't know how long she's been trapped in this dumpster, as they call it, but instead of being happy to be free, or I don't know, what do most people do when they're contained for a long time? Maybe they go back to their family, relax, do something. No, she just randomly picks a planet that's nearby to conquer, straight from being imprisoned, and say, oh, I'm just gonna conquer the nearest planet, which happens to be Earth. Then I think we get to the juice bar and all the stuff that I was talking about earlier. And I said it was like, it had a Saved by the Bell type feel to it, but with martial arts and activities going on around there. So Jason and Zach are sparring. Looks like Trini was doing her little martial arts thing on the side. Kimberly was doing her gymnastics. And Billy wasn't there at that time. And Jason and Zach are going at it. And I'm going to go ahead and give a spoiler. Obviously, I said I'm going to do a database. But obviously, right now, these are the two top Rangers. The athleticism shown here, the skill. I dare to say one of the attributes is natural ability. And I dare to say Zach has more natural ability than maybe anybody on the team. And that natural ability attribute is basically how good you are without Ranger powers. That's one of the attributes that will be used to rank the Rangers over time on this channel. But we'll get to all that later. get back to the episode. Billy shows up. And Billy, out of all the Rangers, the 4 people here that we know are going to be Rangers that were already at the juice bar doing their thing, Billy right now showing no skill, no athleticism, no nothing. So he's taking Jason's martial arts class, and he does not look confident. And he immediately says it's not for him. He gets into the class for like a minute, does a couple like poses, and immediately he was ready to quit. And there was also some shenanigans with Bulk and Skull, who tried to bully the ladies, I guess. Zach comes in to try to back them up, and they say they got it. And as always, Bulk and Skull make a fool of themselves. Later on, they go into the class, as Kimberly suggested, I think, that they should take the class. They go take the class, and obviously they want to take the class for different reasons. They want to know how to beat people up. Jason tries to convince them that that's not what martial arts is about. But Bulk says they're not taking some geek martial arts class. So Jason immediately says, hey, Bulk, I guess you're ready for the advanced techniques. They do they do a few moves. I think there was like a kick, a high kick or something. Eventually Jason did it's like a 360. Anyone has ever seen Kofi Kingston do the Trouble in Paradise? He does one of those kicks, kind of a spin kick. And obviously Bulk busts his behind trying to do that. Then we get an earthquake as Rita is on the attack. And we get our first look at the command center, Zordon and Alpha. And immediately Zordon knows what's going on. The earth quakes. And immediately he knows it's Rita. So is Zordon like in tune with everything? Because how would he know that? Immediately. So immediately Zordon says he needs Rangers. He didn't say it in those exact words. He just gave a description that apparently fits teenagers. It just tells Alpha to find some random teens that fit the description. And it happens to be Jason, Zach, Trini, Kimberly, and Billy. And I put in my notes at this point, the story starts moving fast. Because we went from just starting the show out, and very quickly, we've already chosen Rangers. They're in the command center, and he's trying to convince them to be Rangers. He gives them powers. He gives them power morphers and tells them what dinosaur they represent. So Jason looks like he's pondering it. Zach and Kimberly are like, is this for real? I don't get how these are just normal teens. They're normal teens. And they get teleported to a command center where a giant floating head is talking to them. And they want startled. And a robot. I would assume this is around mid-90s, early to mid-90s. We don't have walking, talking robots functioning on their own. A giant floating head in a tube. He explains who he is as a being caught in a time warp. And nobody freaks out. They just act like this is just normal. So yeah, Zach is immediately brushing this off like, yeah, right. Let's get out of here. And Kim doesn't take much convincing. Jason's the one that's pondering it. But eventually they walk out. And then the story moves even quicker. As soon as this happens, as soon as they walk out of the command center, Rita, just like Zordon, immediately knows Zordon's plan. She already knows who the Rangers are, who he's chosen, out of nowhere. How? But by her knowing that, they have their first putty battle as the putty patrol is sent down to finish them. And our Rangers have their first battle. Immediately, Billy's looking rattled. Kim is looking kind of shaky. Jason tells Zach, let's do this. And they're confident. Zach is dancing in the middle of them. And Jason and Zach are confident. And Trini was doing her thing too. But eventually the putties get the better of them all. Throws them all to the side. And that's when they attempt to use those powers that they've been given by Zordon. It's morphin' time. So here's when things get a little weird. After they morph, Zordon immediately teleports them. Now, I know in real life why this is happening. Once they're morphed, they're using, I don't know how long it was before they started like shooting some of their own Ranger footage. But obviously they go into the Japanese footage. So that's why they immediately teleport when they're morphed. And yes, I know vast majority of it is all Japanese footage. But I definitely by season 2, there were some Ranger scenes that they shot on their own when they were suited up. Actual American footage filmed. But that's my reason why I think they immediately morphed them out as soon as they morphed. Because they didn't even beat the putties that beat them when they were unmorphed. When they morphed, they immediately get teleported to the city. So they just fight off some random putties. And just like everybody else, just like Zordon, just like Rita, the Rangers immediately know everything to do. They call on the Zords as Goldar has now been sent to the city to destroy it. And he's grown. But as I was saying, they call on the Zords, they get in the Zords, they immediately know what to do. Yes, they tried to put some dialogue in to say, oh, how do I know how to drive this thing? That was kind of trying to cover that up. The fact that this is Japanese footage and they're just trying to make it work. But to me, it's for a first time battle, this is too smooth. They knew how to do everything. They knew how to bring the Zords together. They knew how to get in battle mode. They already looked like they were in mid-season form in the first episode. But yeah, as soon as they powered up, as Jason said, and went into battle mode, they were losing the fight to Goldar. They lost the putty fight before they morphed. They were losing the fight in the Zord, the Megazord, with Goldar, because he was slicing them up. They called for the power sword, and Goldar just retreats immediately. He didn't even attempt to fight. So we never would have had Power Rangers if Goldar maybe would have finished the fight and killed the Rangers right there. He gave up. He gave up when he was winning. Now, I'm joking when I say that because obviously they were going to have this show anyway. But I'm speaking of it from a story standpoint. The putties beat them. They morph. They leave those putties behind. Technically, those putties could have went into the command center there because that wasn't far away from the command center and maybe destroyed the command center. When they were in the Megazord and battle mode, Goldar was kicking their behinds. He was winning. They called for the power sword and he just left. And that's how our Rangers' first battle went. So this is kind of a new perspective for me because I never saw it that way. Not the first time I watched it as a kid, not the other times I've watched it in the last like 10 years or so. Now looking at it with the more, I hate to say this, critical eye, Rita could have won in episode 1. And they just let them survive. Put the putty battle aside. Goldar was winning the Megazord fight. I mean, if they fought a little bit and they got the better of them, okay, it makes sense. But he was getting the better of them. They called for the sword and he left immediately. He didn't even try to fight. So this is already telling me that this retro review is going to be fun. Maybe to see things in a different way that I've never seen it before. Because I'm watching it kind of in a different way this time. I'm not just watching it for entertainment. I'm watching it to kind of rank it. So now, I didn't even finish like the last scene. The last scene is them taking basically the Ranger oath. And agreeing. And that's how the episode ended. So what did I think of Day of the Dumpster, episode 1 of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers season 1? Like I said at the beginning, it was actually fun to watch again. I didn't think those first, especially the first episode, I didn't think it was, I don't remember it being that good as it actually was. Basically when I watched it, the last time I went through the Rangers, you just can't wait to get to like the Green Ranger saga and some of those other things. That to me is when season 1 starts to pick up. Because that's to me is when season 1 starts to pick up the Green Ranger saga. And I can't wait till they start incorporating like the music into the putty battles. I love that. That was some of my favorite stuff. The fight. We will come running to your side. Or I will win. 541. You'll come calling, slowly crawling. Attitude divine. Take and conquer is your honor. We got soul and mind. Combat. Well, you can run and you can't hide. When you're on the winning side. And We Need a Hero is like my least favorite of the bunch. But I love those songs during being incorporated into those fights, man. It just brings more to the show. So those are moments I can't wait for. But for this particular episode, what did I give it on the Hexx scale? I gave it a 7.1, which is classified as good on the Hexx scale. We're off to a good start here. Now, I want to explain the Ranger database and the Ranger ranking system. We're going to rank the Rangers over the course of this journey. Pull up the attributes. I'm probably not going to put this part on screen until it's absolutely ready. But here are the attributes. I don't even remember all the attributes I used to have when I did it before. I got a couple of them, but I don't know. Seemed like I have more than this as far as attributes are concerned, but we're going to do it a different way this time, I guess. Okay, one attribute is Ranger power, and all of these are on a scale of 1 to 10. So if a person is like an 8.8, basically that means they're an 88 if you were doing a 100-point scale. But I kind of do it on a scale of 1 to 10 with decimal points. So Ranger power is an attribute. Natural ability, as I discussed earlier, will be an attribute. Intangibles will be an attribute. Ranger power means when they're morphed, how strong is their power when they're morphed, basically. That's what Ranger power is. Natural ability, I explained earlier, how good they are without their Ranger powers. Intangibles is kind of that it factor. It's that special something that basically you can't explain. And then there are two categories that you can add like some extra points for, such as experience points. I used to give 0.1. I used to add 0.1 to everyone's rating for every season they were on for experience points. And to qualify to get this point, you had to be in at least 10 episodes during the season, and then you would get that 0.1. So how I'm going to change that, since I classify 10 episodes as that 0.1 added, I'm going to say every 10 episodes that you're in, you get that 0.1 added to your score. Instead of a person just showing up for 10 episodes maybe and getting that experience point, and then everybody else who's been there maybe 30 episodes getting the same 0.1. Maybe a person that was there, maybe somebody like the Gold Ranger. I'm not sure how many episodes the Gold Ranger was there, but he was a person that wasn't there the whole season. So for example, let's say he was there for 10 episodes. He gets that extra 0.1 added to his score. But the rest of the Zeo Rangers were there, what? I don't know, 40, 50 episodes. In the new scale, they would get 0.5 added to their thing. Zord power, I was debating whether or not to do this one, because to me, Zord doesn't really have nothing to do with you being a Ranger. It's basically your vehicle, but technically, as you will see in some episodes, and I'm not going to point that out now, technically, if you were fighting putties and you were getting your behind handed to you, you could call the Zord and just squash them. So I guess that is part of your power. I might adjust this before I actually post this, but you can get up to 1 point for the power of your Zord. Then as the question is, what if the person gets new Zords? Does that point go down? If that Zord is worse, does it go up? How does that factor in? Or do you get another? Can you get more points added on for different Zords you have? And that's something I'm still working on. I think I'm going the route of every Zord you've had, you'll get that point added on. Because for example, let's say Dragon Zord, the highest you can get for, and this is it's a complicated formula. I know this is probably a bunch of gibberish. You can skip it if you like, but like I said, you can get up to 1 full point for your Zord. Let's say Dragon Zord is a 0.8 for Zord, and then obviously Tommy shows up later in Dino Thunder. He's got a Brachiozord, which is a carrier Zord. It doesn't even fight. It just carries things. So that Zord would be a lower rating, right? It would be like a 0.3. That means Tommy's rating would go down with the Brachio over the Dragon Zord, if I were to do it that way. But obviously Tommy's showing up, I think, after that as the Green Ranger and stuff like that. So that's why I think I'm just gonna, each Zord will add. It won't subtract or go down if you get a lower Zord later on. Because how many times have we seen people come back later on with one of their former powers that they used to have? So that's me kind of trying to explain the formula of how we're going to rank the Rangers. Now, we've only had one episode, but we're going to put up, since I haven't as the recording of this video made the database yet. I'll probably just put up a screen to show the rankings right now. So those are the initial rankings after episode 1. I'm not gonna lie, maybe me knowing what these rangers are going to become maybe factor into some of their stuff, but I think every 10 episodes we'll revisit where everyone's ranked. So that'll do it, I think, for this first episode of the Retro Review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers breakdown. We got a long way to go. Till next time, I'm JohnHexx, and I am out.